Man in the Mirror is a collection of some 50 proverbs with anecdotal stories from almost 100 countries that the author has visited. Charles Koopman is an American teacher of history who truly loves South Africa and in general African culture. In this book, he gives a series of his life and his father, whom he wished had lived longer. The author also goes into his love for Africa, Brazil, and mostly humankind. Charles Koopman, the author, joins us now virtually to share more on the book. Charles, a very good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome.
Good morning to you. It's
an absolute pleasure. Now, just briefly introduce yourself and tell us about your background as an author.
Yes. Well, I'm a teacher by trade, but I desired to have a larger platform, and I thought by the writing that I've always been doing would enhance that. And so I saw that there was clearly a platform to connect with, and I saw this and I said specifically to connect with Africa, which it says so much in my book about, and as well South Africa. So that's where it really brings me to where I'm at right now.
So what really inspired you to become a writer? I mean, was there a specific moment or experience that ignited your passion for storytelling?
I've always been, I think teachers, well, I am anyway, a pretty strong storyteller, and I've always been that way. So I just put it, I'm fairly literate and put it in the print as well, and it just came out very easily. It's just been always there, but I just finally said, seize the moment, carpe diem, and really take advantage of it. And I felt now is the moment, so I'm ready.
What kind of stories do you tell, Charles? I mean, is it real-life stories, or is it fiction, or is it a bit of both?
I say it's nonfiction, but again, stories that, if I can, may I elaborate and give you an example of one? Sure. So as an example, one of the proverbs or quotes is, one man's trash is another man's treasure. Mm-hmm. And then I come to specifically Africa, and that some, especially in the Western world, will say, disease, poverty. But me, from my background in history and just as a human being, I see that, it's the cradle of civilization, and it's where everything has come from. Yeah. And the motherland, as you call it. And so I just dug deeper in it, and I told more of a story of it and experiences that I had through when I was in South Africa. And it just keeps me coming back. If I dare say, is that it's, I know that every country has their problems. God knows America does, but as you guys, and I probably have been, as an author, I've been a bit of a victim of romanticizing it a bit too much, but without shame, I say that I see how you guys have come together under difficult moments as different cultures, different religions, races, and you seem to band together and put it together and overcome major challenges. What I like to say in proper Zulu, correct me if I'm wrong, umuntu, ubuntu, gabantu.
That's perfect.
It just brings it out in me, and I think I'm in the right place to get my book started. So.
What is your fascination about Africa? I mean, what is it that really fascinates you about this continent? As I said earlier on, the general, overview or feeling of Africa is disease and poverty. So what really drew you to Africa?
Well, that's a superficial view. I mean, obviously, I'm a history teacher, so I've studied a lot more deeper and all around the world. So I have that perspective already. And I've seen the diaspora of Africans from all around the world going throughout there, even into Brazil and other parts of the world. But again, with specifically South Africa, I see that there's a lot of potential. It's a large youth base for businesses to open up to, but again, the history, geography, I mean, you could Google search Cape Town and you would find a top 10 most beautiful city in the world. And it just, you just got to smile and say, wow. And adding on to that, the people, the people, they're full of life. And
All right.
I like that engaging part because I like to think I have that as well. So I feel like maybe in another life I was. So I just feel connected. And you could see at the end of my book, I even have a photo of the Tulsa outfit. And I just think that it's a fascinating people. But I mean, from Mandela, Nelson, and of course, even going to present form, another great leader, Trevor Noah, both from that bloodline, and so I can really relate, and they are great, I believe, great representatives of your country worldwide, because they are always talked about. And he's nearly conquered my country. He's really made a great impression. So I just think that these are reasons for me to draw closer to your country.
All right. Now, just give us a brief overview, Charles, of the story and what readers can expect from this book. I did mention that it's a collection of over 50, proverbs and, anecdotal stories from almost 100 countries that you've visited.
Correct. I think some of them, I hope they will find connection, inspiration from these. I mean, if I dare to say, I could even add on a few. I said about the one man's trash, another man's treasure. You can go on and on. Just adding on to them is wine, women, and song. I love the quote in a sensitive point, because there's some poetry, lyrics. A man is uninteresting without tenderness. But they come out with stories that are, I think, close to what people can relate with, and that I've seen in my travels from China to
Charles, this is such a beautiful read, and I love the way you projected Africa as it is, with absolutely no filter at all. But thank you so much for joining us. It's such a beautiful, beautiful book. Great chatting to you.
I'm speaking from the heart, and I hope others will engage in this conversation and take it in as well.
Okay. Great chatting to you, Charles. Do have a great day now. All right, we just spoke to Charles Koopman, the author of Man in the Mirror. The book gives a lesson of nonconformism and standing up for what one believes and most people would appreciate.